Welcome to the Don Pod, the supporters podcast. Here's your hosts, Sam and Nate.
3, 2, 1, yeah!
Essendon kicked their highest score of season 2024, running out 30-point winners over the West Coast Eagles at Marvel. Essendon 19 goals, 8, 122 to the Eagles 13, 14, 92. Welcome back to the Don Pod, back into footy mode rather than mid-season mode. It's nice to be back. I am joined by Nathan. Hello.
Hello, Sam. How are you? And welcome to everyone. And this is happening 10 minutes after the end of the West Coast game, isn't it?
Yep, just enough time to write some notes, make some graphics, and hit record.
Get right in the vibe. We've got the feel of the game. We've got no stats, no information. We're going to make up shit for an hour.
Figure it out as we go.
And we are going to just talk.
The rawest of content. Yep. I'll start with the bleedingly obvious. If you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see I have a lovely background here, which I'm very happy with myself. I'll be honest with the animated graphics. Ben Mackay has won his 9th game at the Essendon Football Club out of 14 attempts, which eclipsed his 8 wins at North Melbourne from 71 attempts, and that means he could lose his next 57 games and still have a better record than he did at North Melbourne. Congratulations, Ben.
Oh, I love that. Love the dig.
Hilarious. At the moment, North have sort of turned their season around a little bit, their form at least, but get stuff
Not
North.
the W's. They haven't improved on the W's too much.
No. Did you see during the week on Twitter, there was the whole who hates who from, like, as supporters, Who do we hate? North Melbourne, we were top, and by far top. They didn't feature in our top 5.
No.
They feature in my top 5, personally, but it's quite funny.
Again, it's this whole, why do they hate us?
Anyway, not here to talk about North Melbourne, but on Ben. I'm going to sit here and giggle at that little cap the entire time we're recording. Anyway, back to Essendon and West Coast. Goal scorers, Stringer's kicked 5. Interested to find out during that game that his career best is 6. So
he had 4 at half time.
Yeah, he's on track for 8. That's how maths works.
That's how you do fantasy scores. You double them at half. I don't know if you do that for goal kicking.
How maths works. Excuse me. Wright, Langford, Guelphy, Caddy, kick 2, and Merritt, Hind, Heppel, Dersma, Durham, Caldwell. Yes, I said Heppel. Kicked 1 each. Merritt and Durham had 29 each. Laverde, God knows how, had 28. And Jai Caldwell had a very, very good game with 26. I think if to sum it up, pretty good game from us. Poor third quarter. Definitely a lot to work on with the third quarter, particularly. A lot of other things to work on. Nice to see us kick 19 goals, 8. That was a nice little return to some accurate kicking, as opposed to them who were 13, 14. So they'd probably be lamenting.
Well, they did have goal kicking practice during the week at school. So
at school, yes. The Dons had a little goal
and
kicking.
I think Jones won it, so that's obviously paid off.
The one guy that didn't really play forward. But...
Well, no, we'll talk about that later. But it's one of those things that, it's a good thing to hear that they've done it because they've acknowledged that that's an issue. And they've gone and practiced it. They've worked on it, and we've seen the results.
And I like that they had a bit of fun with it.
Yeah,
it wasn't
I agree.
serious.
They made it a little
it was just a bit of fun. It was good content for the socials.
Yep.
But they took that little bit of pressure out of it. Like, boys, this is shit. You need to work on it to, righto, get in each other's grills.
Yeah.
Be dicks, but kick goal. Yeah, I like
it. Yeah, no, I thought that's good. And we reaped the rewards this week, as you can see, with the 19-8. Yeah, that's great kicking.
Goal kicking comp every training session, please. Continue that. Let them be absolute dickheads to each other and
100%.
Watch us kick 28 straight next week. I don't even know. We're playing Geelong next week. Maybe not 28. 24. 24 straight.
God, we kick 24 goals next week.
It is. I mean, 122 is a good score. It was interesting to me that our previous highest was 107 in round 1 against Hawthorn, 106 against Richmond, and then our third highest was actually 101 against Sydney.
Oh, wow.
In a loss. So we've only the 4th time this year we've kicked over 100 points. I'm okay with that. I'm not saying that as a criticism.
No.
I would rather work on the defence. 92 is a little bit high from them, but
I think 92 is a concern. Personally.
Generally, we've been pretty good in that department in keeping our opposition to low scores. It's been our own ability to score.
And we've talked about that recently, that we've struggled over the last 4 or 5 weeks to score much more than sort of 70-odd points, which is not quite good enough.
Yeah, but
to let West Coast kick 92 is not good either. Like that's not good defense. Like
No, it's not. You're right. General progression would suggest get your defense right and then worry about scoring. I'm okay with that pathway, but yeah, I mean, when we'll talk about why, I've got a couple of things.
The other thing you can put it down to is I do think that Marvel is a faster stadium. Like, it seems to be the potential of a higher score is there.
And West Coast,
as opposed to something like the MCG and other grounds.
West Coast were incredibly tall forward line. We somehow got shorter because we took out, I don't know how you describe it, Goldstein and brought in Caddy, which technically is shorter.
Should we talk about that to start with that?
Let's, because you want to talk about Draper, I'm sure. There's other players that we need to mention, but
let's start with the very start of the game, an hour before the game or whatever, we get the news that Goldie is out. Don't say why, and Caddy's in. So we assume
not saying
structural.
Why suggests that it's yes.
We assume that we're making the assumption it's structural. They're going, well, we want that, and I don't know if the Menzies sub that might have happened then. I don't know if I assume that's when that happened. So.
Well, on that, sorry, before you continue, what the Menzies sub did, at least, was allow Jake Kelly to go back as a defender. Nick Martin went back as a forward mid, and we all looked kind of balanced. All was right in the world.
Well, that was the other part of the really fascinating thing. So for the last 5 or 6 weeks, we've played one ruckman, being Goldie, and we've been concerned about his effort and sort of how easily he's been beaten in some of those games. Even though some of the numbers like hit-outs have been quite good. But it's the effort he's been given. And within 10 minutes of that first quarter in this game, we saw Draper crash into a midfielder. We saw him, just take the ball out and run and kick. He does the unexpected a lot of the time. And I think that's brilliant. I think I love what he brings.
If he doesn't know what he's doing next, how on earth do the opposition? You didn't even take that long. So we were watching it together on Zoom, as we do occasionally when I don't go. No trains from Sunbury today, so I gave it a miss. You commented after probably the first 10 seconds. It may have even been the first ruck contest.
I'm sure it's a bit longer than that, but fair enough.
But it was not long. And you went, Draper's, he competes. At one point you commented that he crashed and bashed into a midfielder.
Yeah, well, that's the first thing. I reckon the second thing he did after the first bounce was he rammed into a West Coast midfielder. And I went, see, that's what we miss. A ruckman who throws a bit of the body around, gives a bit of, no, you're not just draping around me and doing what you want. I'm taking you as you want.
He had 17 touches and 6 clearances.
He was very good.
Return, took a couple of marks, intercept marks, took one really great mark at halfback.
Yeah. And then I thought, right, as the backup ruckman, really worked. And then I guess by bringing Caddy in, you've got that, we're playing an extra tall with, well, we'll talk about Jones later, but, you're bringing that extra tall up into the forward line. So I could see how that really worked.
There's a couple of things. And we probably should have started with Durham and Caldwell, and we promise
we'll get to them. We'll get there. Let's save the best for last.
But there's some structural things that I liked. So the biggest thing for me is that Jake Kelly went back.
Which is, again, fascinating, isn't it?
Well, it's bizarre, yes. But we've covered that more than enough. What I want to mention...
But I think that just on this moment, let's just... What happens this week that in the last 5 weeks, and I will argue to my death that we are a better team with him back there, that what happens in the last 5 weeks that draws him up the ground.
Against Carlton.
Yeah.
Something changed. Cal didn't go back, but Martin went forward, changed the game. So I can see where that's come from. Kelly, I mean, maybe it's just taken 5 weeks for that to sink in. I don't want to harp on about Cal, though, because we do it enough.
It's not about, this is, again, never about Kelly. This is about the coaches making the decision that... I don't understand,
that because we don't know. We've talked about it plenty, so let's move on.
I won't.
We don't understand it. That's fine. What was interesting today was that there was a bit of early. It was Harry Jones is playing up the ground. I quite like this, and then he straight up turned into a winger. He started on the wing at several centre bounces. He was finding himself in the defensive 50. He faded in and out of the game a little bit, I'll be honest, but for the most part, I loved it. I loved the way he was able to impact contests in the air, took a couple of marks, plugged the hole in defence. was a bit confused because he plugged the hole in defence and then went and plonked himself outside 50. I didn't quite understand.
He's probably still learning his role, Sam.
It might have been deliberate, but I'm not a coach.
For me, it was the marking. I really think that gives us a marking option. Though I still think one of our issues is getting a mark at the, sort of somewhere along the wing or even the defensive side of the wing. I always find we struggle to mark the ball there and give yourself that out. I think our default is to chip kick our way out or run, whereas sometimes you just want a pack mark or even a 2-on-2 sort of 1-on-1
just
big marker.
Yeah. And then the flip side to the flip side to the flip side, I guess, was the impact it had on Pete. Now, he started like a house on fire and
took a great couple of clunkers.
I commented that he's on, you commented that Essendon was on, and then we both kind of went to shit a little bit for a minute there. And,
we regretted saying anything.
Yeah, but Pete was, it was really the first 10 minutes. After that, it really didn't happen as much. But he was able to take a few marks. He wasn't that chop-out kick unless he was in the ruck, which then it's okay.
Yeah.
He wasn't having to push up the ground. It let Caddy push up the ground out of the forward line if he had to, which I really liked Caddy's game.
Caddy plays every week for the rest of the year.
Nothing brilliant. The goal he kicked, his first goal in footy was brilliant on the wrong foot and made a very quick decision to take the shot, which I like. Kick the set shot. Not a lot that can go wrong with that routine. Ball drops nice. Bit stuttery on the run up, but not a lot that can go wrong.
Yep.
Loved it. So I love that structure. Our issues, which we'll get to, is the defensive half, I think. But, we kicked 19 goals, highest score of the year. So clearly something in that forward line and midfield.
Well, I think the forward line and the midfield were great. Like if we move now to...
Stringer, sorry.
Yeah, and Stringer kicking 5 is great. And still coming in for clearances and doing his thing. But
20 touches and 6 clearances to go.
But he would have kicked 5. Did he kick 1? 5-1 or 5 straight?
5-1.
5-1. Whereas the last 4 or 5 weeks, if not longer, that's nearly been 1-5 or 2-3. It's been horrible. Like
he had 6 shots at goal last week. He's kicking max 2.
Well, and Langford again, the practice of the schoolyard kicking. He had 2 or 3 set shots and drilled both of them.
Changed his boots at half time, Langers.
Yeah,
found that strange.
Maybe it was a bit slippery. Who knows? But let's talk about the real drive and where the real class was.
The best till last, you say.
The best till last. Well, then we'll move to the negatives.
Well, there's a few things. There's a few things to talk about. Let's start with the midfield. Let's talk about Durham and Caldwell and Merritt to a lesser extent, but Merritt was in there too.
Oh, but Merritt, pretty good game.
Pretty good game of footy. Really tough one for us doing our votes as we were working it out before we hit record. So, does 29 touches, a goal to go with 5 clearances? Caldwell, 26, a goal, 11 tackles.
11 tackles. That's a good game.
6 clearances.
Yeah, they're very good games of footy.
For Caldwell, it's consistent, right? That's pretty much been his output. Maybe a better game than average for him, but pretty much what we've come to expect. 7+ tackles, sort of 4+ clearances.
For me, it's that since Parrish has been injured, he's definitely played a lot more of that midfield minutes. And it's been building to some really good games. Like I think in that there's been some good games, but this one would probably be one of the better games he's played. 26 a goal and 11 tackles. 6 clearances.
Certainly that's above average. Yeah,
that's really good football. That is, and we saw this all game. Like he played 4 quarters of good football.
Yep.
Yeah.
And my point that I was going to make there was Durham. It's a return to form.
Yeah.
He's been serviceable. I haven't had any issues with the way he's played, but he certainly hasn't been able to capture that form of Anzac Day Bulldogs.
Yeah. And maybe he just need the rest. Like he's still a young player. Like they're both young players. They're both 50-ish games, so.
But the Caldwell does the grunt work, which I love. Durham's speed at which he can break away from the contest, move around tacklers. Perkins did it a little bit too. I should mention that. He brushed off a couple going inside 50, which was nice. But Durham or Durbacon, because we were hanging shit on the commentary because it was Durham is sort of how they were saying it.
So we started calling him Durbacon.
So we went to Durbacon. Bacon, duh. Yeah. Inside joke, I think that one.
Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. That's fine.
Good games of footy, just bloody good games of footy. And then you throw in Merritt, captain, reliable, 29 touches, a goal, just the 2 clearances and 2 tackles for him. But Set up a goal for Heppel right at the end there, and just controls. I like that about Zach. He doesn't need to have the massive numbers these days. He's just a calming influence, a leader, and does the things that are required of him when they're required.
Do you know what I like too about Durbake and Caldwell?
Durbake.
They're both head over the ball, sort of courageous, cracking, hard nut players, which you love them, like Liberatore at the Bulldogs, Viney at Melbourne, guys like that just will crack in all day and give it. And what's, I think probably the slight difference there is I think that Durham has a real polish about him too. Sorry, Durbake has a real polish about him when he gets going. Like his kicking's elite. He's beautiful mark overhead. Whereas Caldwell's probably a bit more of that grunter. His kicking can be a little bit wayward. Like he's a bit of a nine iron from 50.
That's a common theme with those type of players, though.
Yeah,
I will say.
But that's fine. I have no problem.
And we have to keep telling ourselves that these guys are 22, 23. They're not actually in their peak. So
no, another 2 or 3 years of those guys playing midfield will be, and Perkins is the other one we can see a bit of. Yeah. The other one I'll throw in there too, just quickly, was Cox.
Cox had a good game of footy.
Yeah, I'm really loving every game of football I see from him the last 3-4 weeks. It's just a little bit of improvement every week. His overhead marking's been something of a shining light. I'm hoping that little knee injury that he copped in the fourth quarter isn't too bad. It did look ugly though. We thought both and I went. Ugh.
It was like typical ACL kind of extension
the way it
of the
landed.
knee, but he went off. But I think that was more precautionary than anything.
Yeah.
Hopefully, probably a 6-week thing, knowing our luck with that.
But back on Durbake and Caddy, I think too the other thing I love about them is with when you add Draper back into that mix. You've got a real, there's a bit of nastiness about that midfield that I quite like. Like
a much more balanced midfield too. I
still
still
it's
think
interesting with Setterfield playing VFL.
Well, he had an okay game. He was.
Yeah, no, but was he? He was omitted. Like they in the teams said omitted.
Yep, when he played VFL. So
yeah. So. He doesn't. I don't think he comes back in. Like,
not right now. There's got to be an injury. Parrish will be the one that comes back in, and he had a set. No, that was Baldwin that had a setback.
Yeah. Parrish did have a setback a while ago.
A while ago. Yeah. Darce will come back in. I don't know who the fuck for at this point, but Setters. I imagine if you're omitted, we're saying there's not a spot for you right now, and with a performance like that, when you're getting 11 tackles out of Caldwell,
Is that do you pick him depending on who you're playing? Like if you like
maybe, but I like Setters. I like what Setters brings, but he's a bit one-dimensional in how he goes about it. Whereas, as you say with Durham and Caldwell, they're hard. They both bring something a little bit different.
Yep.
And
Dubacon's shown that he can play on a bigger player, being Pontempelli. Like he showed that he can play on a tall midfielder.
That will live long in my memory.
Because that's what we've sort of always thought was Setterfield is a bigger midfielder. That's what we need. But Dubacon's done that.
And Durham's got the pace. I think that's what Setterfield lacks, the bit of speed. Also lacks the ability to kick. Yes.
Well, Durbake out of those clearances just strides away from players. And there was that one in, I think it was the third quarter, where there was a centre bounce. He tapped it forward. He kept it going forward. He kept it going forward. 6 or 7
efforts.
Then it got to Langford and he did something. And then I think Guelphy kicked the goal there. That was...
Yeah, you're right. It was Guelph.
Good memory. That's the sort of football. I know I've only had one
Great memory from you. Wow.
Normally I'm about 8 beers deep.
Normally you're shocking even when you're sober.
Let's be real. Okay.
Well, you and your names, you know what you're like.
Names. That's why I'm going with Durbake.
Durbake, yeah. Great games from Stuz and Caldwell. Again, Setterfield as a depth player is a fantastic option to have.
Well, and then the other one I'll throw in there is Shield.
He had
pretty consistent numbers. Pretty good numbers in the
VFL. But again, if he's depth, that's okay.
I have no problem.
I still see him as a valuable sub, but I didn't have an issue with Menzies. I'm glad it wasn't Sardis. Let's put it that way. I'm glad Sardis got a full VFL game
and had some good numbers.
And unless we're going to play him in the best 22, let's keep him in the VFL for now.
Right? I agree 100%. And it's funny, I feel like we've been screaming for this for the last 4 or 5 weeks, and they've done it. And I thought this week was probably our better football in the last 3 or 4. Except for that third quarter, I thought we were a pretty good side for the whole game. I would have liked I felt like our defensive six got beaten a few times. That every time there was a sort of stoppage at about 30 metres out from their goal square. I felt like we didn't know how to defend that. And they scored either on the outside or inside, and just scored those ones pretty. I'd love us to have a bit more of a defensive-minded defenders.
Not even the... it's not even the scoring from those stoppages. It was the fact that pretty much every forward half stoppage or forward 50 stoppage that they had, they were able to get free possession. It may not have resulted in scores, but they were able to get uncontested disposals on the outside of the contest, which they're going to score from more often than not. And let me tell you, if you play Sydney and do that, they are going to score goal every time, just about.
Quickly too.
It's a good one. I was about to roll into the stats. So minus 11 hitouts. Hitouts is the most useless stat to me, always has been. Minus 9 clearances. I don't like that. I think our midfield should be a bit better.
It seems to be a worrying trend, isn't it?
It's weird because we just spent 10 minutes hyping up our midfield. But anyway, we were plus 1 at centre clearance and then minus 10 at stoppage.
Well, that's
the setup. The setup around these stoppages, I can't understand. It's like occasionally, it's not every time. We think we're going to win the ball, so we all tootle off forward, and then, oh shit, it went the other way, and they've got 2 players running free out of the stoppage.
It was Ryan a few times.
Ryan
he got on that offensive sort of side of the
and Gold Coast did it to us a number of times.
Yes. And it's like we won't send a midfielder to the defensive side and say, okay, you just stay on this side. And if it all goes pear-shaped, you're there. The
one Ryan one that I can think of, we never really had clear possession.
No.
So it's like we just piss-bolted early, misread the play, which, if that's what happened, okay.
I feel like this is our defensive 6, though, to be honest.
Well, no, this is around the stoppage. This is
no, but this is the problem I have with our defensive. I feel like they all get up the other end quickly, and then the ball gets turned over, and we're like, oh, hang on, no one's back there.
So... yeah, I can't really articulate it because, again, we're not coaches, so it's hard to sit here and go, well, we should do this, we should do that. But from a centre bounce in particular, they all start on a player. So it literally is just they're running forward thinking we've got the ball and we don't, and then the opposition get out of the stoppage. Or they're running forward on a whim and on a hope that we win the ball. And it's just the high risk, high reward aspect. Which when it comes off, it looks great because it does piss bolts away from the contest and it looks brilliant. But it's just a bit of... Maybe that's what Setterfield brings that we don't have is the defensive-minded midfielder.
Yeah. But then is that worth it?
No.
It's like bringing a guy in just to tag and play midfield. I mean, you sort of can hurt yourself if that's all he's doing. Whereas Caldwell can usually hold players to some decent numbers as well as get a bit of footy himself.
The anticipation is a skill. And if they can play, 18, 19 games a year with Draper, they'll get that. That'll come with consistent football. But
that's right.
It just, particularly the forward stoppages for West Coast, we just allowed too much space on the outside. And I don't understand because it was pretty consistent throughout the whole game. Fourth quarter, we probably quelled it. They didn't really
that was because I felt like we trapped it in our forward 50 a lot more.
They didn't really get ball down there.
So it was a lot harder for them to have that damage for us because it just wasn't down there.
So
there was also a lot of loose ball. Like I felt like we used the ball in our back half a lot, kicking it to each other.
That's probably how Laverde got 28 touches. Well, I'll reel off some numbers. That's a great segue. Plus 109 disposals.
Wow, that's a lot.
Every single one of those plus 109 were uncontested.
Wow, that's fascinating.
We broke even on the contested ball. We were plus 58 kicks and plus 51 handballs. Minus 2 inside 50s. And that really just is screaming the fact that once the ball went into their back 50, once the ball went into their forward 50, our back 50, we were using the ball in our defensive half too much or a lot.
I agree.
If Jaden Laverde is getting 28 touches, I'm sorry, that's all I'm concerned. That man is not getting 28 touches running up the ground playing attacking football. It's sideways
just sideways kicking, What
was your Ben Mackay stat? He had 3 kicks for plus 9 meters or something?
29 meters. 23 or 29 meters plus. Like, that's horrible. Horrible.
So I don't read too much into the plus 109 disposals. If it was plus 30 contested, I would be pretty up and about.
Yeah. Well, on that, and contested and stuff like that, what were the free kick stats? Because you and I both talked about one of the other topics I wanted to bring up was, so a few weeks ago they changed the rules just mid-year because that's how they roll at the AFL house. Yes. And the first week of that interpretation of holding the ball, I thought was a bit harsh. The second week, I think you and I agree is about where it should be.
Even the first week, we were sitting there going, geez, it's red hot, but I like it.
Yeah. It really changed the feel of the game, didn't it?
So, plus 109 disposals. I don't think I can use these hand in hand because they were uncontested. Minus 6 tackles. So that's fairly close as far as the tackle count goes.
Yeah, that's fine.
We were minus 5 free kicks. However, it was 8. We had 8 free kicks to their 13. We had 8. To their 13. 13's a low number. So
8 for a game. So
we had 8. We had 2 a quarter.
So it's 2 a quarter. How do you get 2 free kicks a quarter?
And what was frustrating...
In 30 minutes of football, the umpire's blowing their whistle twice for you. Going, yeah, that's yours.
I'm on your side here. What was frustrating was that West Coast kicked at least 4 goals from straight-up errors.
The Peter Wright mark that in the first quarter.
The Peter Wright mark that they then paid 2 more marks later on, both ways, that were held for less time than that. The Dyson Heppel got like half a hand to it, basically, went over the top, and Waterman took a mark and they paid it.
It was
Yo, sorry. Oh, yeah, right, it was.
Or sober.
Yo took a mark. There was one where I think one of our players, West Coast player, had the ball, went to fend off, got our guy high, and then our guy still completed the tackle and it wasn't paid holding the ball.
And he fended, tackled.
Yeah, fended high and then got tackled, and neither were paid. There were one...
there were many other holding like spinning 360. I thought that was out. I thought the whole idea of that first week interpretation was that they're not going to allow you to be spun around and around because that's too much time. They'll either blow the whistle and say no free kicks, but we're bouncing it, or there's a free kick. And that's the thing I was frustrated on because in that interpretation, they were blowing the whistle quicker. And I liked that. Because
stops players' heads getting slammed into the ground.
Exactly, because if you're not getting rid of the ball, the players are trying to hit you to the ground because they're worried that they're going to get the ball out, and then the coaches go, hey, what happened to your tackle? You've got to try and hold them in.
Yeah. So, 2 things. One, blow the whistle quicker, whether it's a free kick or the ball up, and you will save a lot of these slamming head tackles. 2, can we not change the rules in the middle of the season? Can we just not have rule of the week? Can we? No, I'm all for the interpretation of holding the ball that's red hot. I'm fully okay with that. I think you're right. They got it right the second week. The first week was super red hot. The second week was a bit more balanced and good. Good to watch.
But then the weeks after that,
it's so
it's inconsistent in games. It's inconsistent in weeks. Like on a weekend, you can watch 2 or 3 games and go, well, hang on, now they're not calling it. Now they are.
And if you watched Geelong and Carlton on Friday night, I had the misfortune of watching just the first half. The free kicks that Harry Mackay and Charlie Curnow get, I just sit there and go, if I'm Peter Wright watching that, I'm going, fuck, I'd kick 100 in a year. It's so frustrating to watch this sport, and it's largely to do with inconsistencies. Yeah, and I get that these umpires are human. I get that sometimes they don't see it, but the whole point of your 4th umpire was to stop this.
And then we'll just stand in the middle now. Like anyway. Let's move on from umpiring. I just think that's a frustration.
Just pay holding the ball. We sat there a number of times against our own players and went, that was holding the ball.
Exactly. And we're not saying that we should have got all the free kicks. We're saying that they were not paying free kicks that were against us either. Like, they were there.
You've paid 18 free kicks in a game of football.
8 to 1 team. 2 a quarter. That's ridiculous.
It's insane. Anyway, just be more consistent, and the general footy watching public would be pretty happy. We'd be pretty happy with consistency. It's not much.
Let's get back on a positive topic. Scores from defensive half.
So you come up with this one. Was this
on
the broadcast? 11 of our 19 goals we scored from our back half. And if I can just get on my high horse here for a minute.
Go, Sammy.
And throw in your face that you might have been wrong about something. You know how you wanted to play 2 ruckman, and I was like, I think we're a bit tall. If we play 2 ruckman and we don't drop a forward.
Yep.
West Coast basically did that. And they got the ball inside their forward 50 more than we got our ball inside forward 50, but didn't stay there. We got the ball back. We were able to rebound. And put it largely on the fact that their forward line was too
Couldn't
tall.
hold it in. But you could argue that they had more inside 50s and more scoring shots. So we're probably lucky.
But 11 goals of our 19 came from back half.
Yep. And that might have just...
There's a good point you make.
Yeah.
I'll give you that. But
yeah, I still like the mix, the setup of having...
We ended up okay because we dropped goals.
But I like Caddy in there instead of so with the Menzie going to the sub role, well, that it allowed Caddy to play as, and I'm going to call him a tall forward, even though he's not a tall forward, but he plays as one, like the way he marks the ball and everything. And I like that then when Wright goes in, you've got Jones and or Caddy to be down there and play that role with Stringer and whatnot.
I like the setup today. If we'd played Goldstein, I think we were too tall.
I agree.
But they went in with 3 genuine tall forwards and with a 4th as a sub, really.
Possibly because they don't have a great ruckman. Like they have to try and get, they're trying to get Oscar Allen back into... I can understand what they're trying to do.
They were tall.
Yeah, fair enough.
And a guy like Darling is just a bit of a dud. So you're carrying a lot of dead weight.
Just playing him around to go footing.
He was a good footballer. I just think he's a bit...
Yep.
Anyway. So 11 of 19 from back half. Again, just another... We seem to change every couple of weeks in how our main avenue to goal is. It was clearances, then it was turnover, back half. I guess back half is turnovers, essentially. But you okay?
Yeah.
Got some unwanted visitors.
No.
Yeah, all good. And the last thing I've got on my little dot point listy here is dumb moments, and there wasn't too many.
There's two I can think of.
There was one where I got super frustrated and a bit carried away, where Nick Hine took the ball in the middle all by himself, and it was just one of those moments where you just keep the momentum going and run forward. The little flog ran sideways, did those little stupid half-steppy things and just ran sideways.
Have you noticed his little steps? I love his little steps.
Put himself under pressure. Bro.
Well, I think we turned the ball over because he gave it to Kelly. Kelly kicked a shithouse kick into our forward line that just was to 3 West Coast people. The ball went from then in. I reckon they had a shot from that. Like they
You've taken a mark in the middle of the ground, uncontested. You just run forward, you mung.
Surely one of the forwards is going to lead at you or be, one-on-one, and you just pick that target.
He just did those little stupid quick steps.
Yeah. For me, there was a moment Laverde had the ball. He got a little chip kick out of the back. He was running out of the back half, and he had I think it was Merritt or something like that, leading at him, and he ignored that, kicked it over to another option, which was just a West Coast guy by himself. And I'm like, whoa, what are we doing here? What are we doing here, Tiger? And then that was that start of that third quarter, which I felt like we were just atrocious. Like everything, whatever was said at halftime, we didn't say the right things because we came out limpless in that third quarter. Like 3 good quarters of football. The first was really good moments. Second, 3 good quarters. Yes.
No, limpless.
Limp.
I think limpless. I would rather be limpless. Isn't that
limply?
Maybe I've just never heard the word. It could be a me issue. It's all right.
I don't know. Everyone limply. It's just bad. We came out bad.
We were shit.
Bad.
Yeah.
We were shit. And then we lucky in that third quarter because they kicked 5-5, isn't it?
Oh.
Whereas
that's limpness. Don't worry. Sorry.
Limitless. They kicked 5-5 to our 4-1, I want to say.
Yes, so that we were a bit fortunate that they weren't a bit more accurate in the third quarter. They
were
on top.
A couple of set shots they should have really kicked.
I got a bit carried away tidying up the garage, so I missed the first couple of minutes of the third quarter, and I came back and he was sitting there fuming.
Oh, shit ass. Because how we finished in that second quarter, which was good, we were up by 25 points or whatever, and then we just didn't turn that on in the third quarter, which I found really frustrating.
It really is the Essendon way. We can be so good to watch and play some good footy, and it's symbolic of our whole season. Really, it's not our whole season, the last month and a bit.
But you can't do that.
It's also symbolic of our games. We have great moments, and you go, "Wow, we're actually good," and then you go, "What the fuck happened?"
Yeah, well, and we've got to get rid of those "what the fuck happened" moments and have a lot less of them and more of those "wow, look at that bit of play." Anyway, I mean, overall, we played 3 good quarters of footy. The third quarter was shit ass. I'm halfway through his beer. It's hitting me hard.
We played 3 good quarters of footy. We were fluid in how we scored and how we transitioned, and that was nice to see.
Yeah. So we'll take the win.
Probably switched off for 10 minutes when we shouldn't have, but okay.
We go to play Geelong next week.
Geelong at the G-Banger.
G-Banger, yeah. And they've got a few outs.
They will have no
Hawkins definitely
Hawkins, maybe no Dangerfield, although I would
possibly probably
be
get off
happy
that
to
one,
see
but-
him get off.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
We might have. Who got a tackle for us that was given? Didn't we tackle someone? And they banged their head and they gave a free kick against us. There wasn't much in it. Was it Caldwell?
Yeah, I remember. I was about when I came back in the third quarter. So
If anyone can remember, comment.
I think we made the comment that if Danger gets off, he gets off. If Danger got the suspension, he gets it too. But
but we don't like to appeal.
No, we don't. Seemingly, anyway.
We just go, yep.
We
fair
appealed
enough.
Wiedemann's and he still got 3. So
Yeah.
work that one out.
Yeah.
Must be free to do the Or mustn't have the
VFL
same
ones.
implications to do the VFL ones.
Yeah,
maybe. Generally speaking, well, I want to talk about our defence because I think
okay.
that was a bit of a theme when West Coast were scoring. It was the stoppages for sure, but we fell back into this mode of pushing up too far in front of our forward that we're playing on, and I can sit there and you get super frustrated at it. I know.
You heard me go off.
I sit here very uncomfortably because I'm not okay with.
Not used to a shouter and a swearer.
Yeah. That's not me, at least.
I
can understand it when it comes from a turnover. So we turn the ball over and it comes back quickly and we're out of position. That happens to every team. If you turn the ball, that's the point of turnovers, is that you're out of position. There was one moment where the turnover sort of happened and they had the ball at centre half forward and we'd kind of covered it okay. We'd pushed back.
Yep.
There
was a 2-on-2, I think.
We were within QE of our opponents and it was fine.
Yep.
As the West Coast players gone to kick, Lav's made the very questionable decision, in my opinion, to run forward, run away from his defender and leave the space out the back. It's just, brother.
Which then he nearly gave away the free kick because he did a front-on contest, but the umpire didn't call it because they weren't calling anything.
Let's be real, it was a pretty blatant free kick. And you just go, what the hell? Conversely, McGrath did, in my humble opinion, the contender for spoil of the year. Running back with the flight.
Yep.
Beautiful defensive effort. But yeah, it's frustrating because they can work it out pretty well. And other times, like West Coast kicked a goal in the first quarter, I reckon, where Ridley tried to handball it to Laverde and the West Coast player just intercepted. That in itself, fine. But he had about a 2 or 3 metre gap if you drew a line from the goal to the top of the 50 in that space, right in front of goal to kick through.
Yep.
And you just go, why do we not have anyone there to put pressure on the kick? I don't understand how you can leave that space as the space that's vacant.
Yep. No, it's been my frustration for quite a while. Right. I think the way sometimes the back six defend, I think they panic. And it was great to see. I think it was Mackay carry the ball over at one stage for a point. Like normally we try and do something there.
That's the stage we're at. We're applauding.
Yeah, we know the rules and we've used them properly. Yay! No, it'll be interesting. I'm really fascinated against Geelong because I do.
Cameron's going to pose some issues.
Cameron and definitely Ollie Henry, isn't it?
Ollie Henry, the ex-Collingwood guy.
Yeah. He's been playing good footy. It's good. Hawkins won't be there because that's a matchup we won't have to deal with.
But the replacement for him might actually be in better form.
Well, that would be that.
Hawkins hasn't had a brilliant year.
He's been a good player in their VFL. Can't think of his name. It's like not like Hen. It's
it doesn't matter.
Anyway, he's a big, tall unit too. Big unit.
Yeah, interesting one. We'll crack on with some votes. I think.
Yep.
I think we've pretty much summed up as much as we can of that football game.
Yep.
Big shout out to a listener who got the votes this week, Shane Henry. He said Essendon by 31. Responded to me very quickly. This is the downside of recording so quickly after the game, is that there's always a chance that these people won't get back to me.
Yep.
And Shane has.
Shane did.
Big shout out to you, Shane. He gave 1 to Merritt with the comment, Mr. I'll do. Great game. He gave 2 votes to Stringer, 5 goals, 1 and 20, one of his best games for a while.
Yeah, it was a very good game.
And he gave 3 votes to Sam Durham, or as we now call him, Durbacon. Set up the game throughout the day, which I really agree with. And he did comment saying that Caldwell was harsh to leave him out, which valid.
Yep. No, that's fair enough. That's his vote. So they were all good. They all played a really good game. Have no problem with any of those.
I'll go first this week. Stuffy, I always let you go first. I gave 1 to Stringer, 4 goals first half. It was very good.
Yep.
I've changed it.
No, you can't.
No, I changed it. I can. I gave 2 to Durham. I wanted to give 3 to Durham, but the 11 tackles for Caldwell's what's pushed me over the edge.
You're just a copy. You're just a copycat.
I didn't fucking cop. That's why I went first. And I'll give him 3 votes to Calders. I think the 11 tackles, the clearances, the goal. They're both very good games of football. That's probably the hardest decision I've made with the 2.
I thought Bacon was unreal.
Yes.
But I liked I felt that Caldwell was more consistent in the 4 quarters. He played really good 4 quarters of footy. And I love the way both of them are tracking.
Yep.
Great young players at Essendon. I'm very excited about them.
So for posterity, you did the same votes as me. Caldwell, Bacon.
Let's call it that. Stringer 1.
Yeah, you copied me.
Great game.
You copied me.
I want to give a special mention shout out too to Jones and Draper.
Yeah,
I really like the way they went about their game too. Draper was such an important in for us. I hope he can play the rest of the game. Rest of the year.
Yeah.
I hope whatever the knee injury that
he looked to move pretty well.
Yeah,
I don't think he rucked as much.
Fascinating to see if they bring Goldstein back in, or how they do that. But you can't change that team. If there's no injuries, then that team cannot change. Maybe Cox. Stays. I don't know how the knee came up, but
yeah, that'd be interesting. I'll give shout outs to Merritt too, Caddy. Not nowhere near votes for me, but I just thought that was a good second game.
Great game. Has to play every game for the rest of the year. I really love what he brings.
To see that, yeah.
Structurally, with just even a bit of youth.
The attack on the footy is
just the way he goes about it. Yeah, big fan.
Yeah, big fan. Huge.
Yep.
It's one of those big ones you see at cafes that takes up half the room. That's how big
Black
fan
one.
I am.
Oh, yeah.
Why did the colour come into it? That was obscure.
Big.
Oh, okay. Give it a hawk 2. Yeah, great memes. VFL played yesterday. I like that, although the fact we played up in Queensland, so we couldn't go anyway, but besides the point. To the Gold Coast, if I can just get my little app open here, 111 to 93, probably one of our better games in terms of scoring. But
it's an interesting team from us.
Nonetheless.
Missing a few players, but also had a few extras in. It was a funny sort of setup for us.
No Wiedemann, no Caddy, obviously. They held him over.
But then Shields, Sardis, Setterfield, Hobbs played,
and Flogguts, your man. Brian.
Flogguts. Who?
Well, I call
Brian
him Flogguts. That's
nothing against him.
Well, I call everyone Flogguts, don't worry about it.
Very much. Yeah, so they had some... Yeah.
So Shield, 26 touches and a goal. Setterfield, 23 touches and 9 tackles. Sardis, 23 touches and 6 tackles. Hobbs, 22 touches and 7 tackles. So a lot of good numbers there with the tackles.
Wanganeen, 22 possessions too. Played obviously a midfield role.
Yeah, I don't even read his out anymore.
You don't care about him.
I still think don't.
I still hope.
I'm sorry. That's on me. I should read it out because he's an AFL listed player. But and the Davies kicked a goal each, but low possession, which is...
Obviously, Gresham's the one that we should.
Gresham's out with personal reason. We don't know why.
So does he come back? How does that? Wow, fascinating. He has to come into the team. He's the in for him? Hind.
Yeah, that'd be a trade up. Sorry, Nick.
That's a trade. That's a massive trade up.
To be
Let's
there.
fucking not. That's a massive trade up. Let's be honest.
You know who we haven't mentioned that it was very, very, very nice to have back?
Dersma?
Xavier Dersma.
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
he made a difference. Sorry, Xavier.
A couple of marks down in defensive, floated across and just took good marks. Defensive wingers love defensive wingers. Yep.
Got the old bow and arrow out before the ball had just about left his boot, which was unique.
He again. I don't want to call this too early, but
no, call it. Go.
Great swap for
Zerk. Well, let's do around the grounds this week. Because,
as on that topic.
Yeah, good one. Loves Dersma's game. I was happy for Hind to be in covering that role. I think that was okay, but I think
definitely Gresham comes in to replace
change makes a whole lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think you're right with what you said before. Keep the team pretty much as is if we can.
Yeah, if Cox is injured, then you have to do something there.
Then that's your swap for Gresh.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not a like for like, but you can shuffle the magnets a little bit.
Shuffle. Probably Kelly can get on the wing.
I'm glad with the Jones one because I feel like we were sitting here so often with Kelly and we just come across as that allergic to change thing. Yep. Harry Jones is not one of the people I would have ever thought I'd see playing on a wing, but I liked it. I actually thought, you know what? That worked.
He gave us something. That's the difference between him and Kelly playing on a forward or on a wing. He doesn't give us anything. He gives us fuck all. Whereas Jones, he marks the ball. He gives He contests. He's got good skills. He makes good decisions. Like, he's relatively, again, he hasn't played a lot of footy, but there's potentially a good football player in there.
Well, you're spot on. He just gave us something. He gave us more than what Kelly did in that role. But you can look at that and go, hey, that's a change I didn't think of, one. But
I liked it.
It gave us something.
Yep.
So he'll probably change it again next week because he only persists with changes that don't work.
Yeah, that's right.
I should have said too, it's consolidated our position in the top 4. So
this is exciting.
Everyone's level on games now. Only Fremantle can jump up the ladder, but they will go. Oh shit, they'll actually go to 5th. But anyway.
But on this, can
I just?
Yeah, keep going. Sorry.
So we are 6 points clear in the top 4. So we've actually there's a bit of breathing space.
That's what I'm saying. And then the Geelong losing, Melbourne just winning. Who else lost out of that sort of range of teams?
Well, the big one is Port Adelaide, who are now out. They're 7th with a percentage of 101. We no longer have the worst percentage in the top 8. Go on the Dons. Actually, Geelong are 102.
Their percentage must be smashing them because by the time they beat us in round whatever that was, 5 or 6, their percentage must have been pretty good about then.
Good. Yeah, well, they were flat track bullies for a bit there.
Yeah, they were.
So 152 to 73 they lost. Ken Hinkley got booed.
Flogged. That's not a loss. That's a flog.
I will say I thoroughly enjoyed the retro jumpers. However, they must have misunderstood retro because they're going to end up with the tarps back out if they're not careful with performances like that. Charlie Dixon getting suspended in the VFL. Their president or someone high up in that football club coming out late last week and criticising their recruits publicly.
Harsh.
Just
honest,
honest, but you don't say that in the public arena.
No, you don't say we picked up 2 shit players.
Well, shit, we should. Imagine us doing that. David Barham coming out and going, "Yeah, Gresham's a bit shit, isn't he?" He's not.
But we'll persist with him. We're paying him a lot of money.
Yeah, just. Wow. And Brisbane, there's a comment there to be made. Return to form. They're now 9th. And
they're coming.
It'd be nice to have a few teams that we can look at as threats to Sydney. I still don't trust Carlton.
I don't trust Brisbane. I think that their history shows in the finals that those guys that are playing good footy now, like Danaher and Hipwood, can't play that in big games. Zach
Thatcher had 5, kicked on him to half time and got subbed.
Did Zach Thatcher get subbed out?
Allegedly, that's second.
I didn't watch all the game because it was, I saw the scores and I was like,
didn't watch a minute of it.
Great tip though, by wow, that's fascinating. He really I feel a bit sorry for him, but he did want to leave.
He wanted out, and now we're sitting here going, well, we pretty much exchanged 4th round picks. So the trade was Dersma for BZT. There was no draft element.
I think that's the way you look at that. That's a straight swap for players, yeah.
And you just go, this will change over time. Fully admit this will change over time. But we are so far winning that right now that...
At the moment, yes. Let's not jinx it.
Let's not.
Touching wood.
Yeah, big win for us. Other than that, I mean, Melbourne and North ended up being quite a good game. I was commenting on whose idea that was to put that primetime Saturday night with no other games on. And it didn't
even look like there were many in the crowd.
27,000, I think.
27.
Which at the G looks like about 4 people.
Empty, yeah.
Yeah.
And the problem with that, Melbourne, no one wants to go watch Melbourne at the moment because they've fallen off the horse and the snow season's only started. And I mean, North Melbourne probably doesn't have the biggest supporter group, but they should be probably going to watch them at the moment because they're actually playing good footy.
I've had this twice in a row now with North, like last week against Collingwood and now against Melbourne, where I've been going for them. I've wanted them to win, and then when they lose, I still find it hilarious. It's like a perfect little place to be.
Yeah. The Collingwood one was hilarious last week. So
if Davies Uniacke is genuinely available and we're in for him, I'm there for it. He's gone. They've got these kids, Wardlaw, Sheasel, Zerha's finding some form. He's dropped off weirdly. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad they didn't win because we do have a little bet on just to top up our.
Yeah, and on that, Freo are in front against Gold Coast at the moment.
I'm quite happy with this. Now, I've learned. I used to say let's not talk about betting, but the ads on Spotify are betting ads. So I presume
we're allowed to
talk about it just as long as we say gamble responsibly. So
gamble responsibly.
Gamble responsibly. I was quite happy with myself because I put on a little bet out of our Bet with Mates group Friday night. I thought, how can I get value here? How do I do it? I did Brisbane, Sydney, and then I put two little roughies on. Melbourne 1-39 against North, and Essendon 1-39 against West Coast, and then Freo. Beautiful. Turned $2 into 37. How good.
Nice. Nice
Big
work, buddy.
spenders. Big spenders over here.
We're big betters.
I did see you put $3
I put
on
my $2.
West
I
Coast.
put my $2 on West Coast to beat
West Coast to
Essendon.
win. So we were pretty sorted, really.
Just in case. You got to have all bets covered when we're playing.
Yeah. And
all
again,
bases covered, sorry.
gamble responsibly.
So next week to Geelong.
Sorry, next week. Yeah, I knew I was forgetting something.
Yep.
Yes, the Cats.
Changes probably is Hind and
fallen off. Hind, I mean, there's the question marks on Cox. I think I'd be pretty happy to leave it unchanged.
Well, let's just assume there's no injuries. Let's go in with
Gresham for Hind.
Gresham for Hind is the trade. If there's an injury, well, then we'll deal with that.
Yep.
Everything else, I would leave the same. And look, they looked shit house against Carlton. Carlton made them look ordinary. I hope that means we can at least beat them or be very close because they are. I hate Geelong.
Yeah, I know.
Hate Geelong.
I'll
struggle to watch this game because of my hatred for them.
Yeah, I'm going. I'm actually going next week.
When is the game?
Saturday night.
Oh yeah. So I'll find a movie that I can.
I'm going to the theatre on Friday night and then off to the footy on Saturday night.
Yep.
Social butterfly.
Mm.
Look, I think they're in a vulnerable position. They looked ordinary against Carlton. They looked ordinary really since they lost. I mean, they've been pretty.
Well, they won the
ordinary.
first 6, didn't they? They were 6 and zip.
And
then I think they've been like 1 or 2 and whatever they've played.
Been
so
very ordinary. But we know with teams like Geelong, they're gonna just rock up one day.
I'm not writing them off, that's for sure.
They'll do us, and we'll be bad. So. I think we win. I do. I think we play the MCG well. I think comparing Carlton now, watching them against Geelong, and then comparing that to our loss to them, I think I go, well,
that's all
we're
I'm
actually pretty good. I mean, we lost and we kicked shit, but we were in that game. So we should win.
All I'm going
Cameron
on is the
worries
fact that
me.
Yeah, of course. But hopefully we've got matchups for those, and hopefully
Is it Ridley that gets Cameron? Is that now the matchup that
I would have thought that's be close to the matchup.
Then what do you do with Ben Mackay? They haven't got much.
Well, they'll play that big guy. There's the guy I can't think of who plays when Hawkins doesn't play.
Or something?
No, I can't think of his name. Doesn't matter. Look, I'll give us a good shout.
Tip.
Bombers by 12.
No, 12. Yeah. Boring. I have a weird sense of confidence. I don't know where it's come from. Essendon by 37.
Ooh.
I just think they're a bit slow. They're a bit shit. And again, I won't
slow.
write them off.
No
I refuse to write them off. But I actually think
if Dangerfield doesn't play, we've got him.
Even with him playing, he's not.
Well, he was their best player in that game. He had the most possessions. He drove them out of the midfield.
Look at the score.
Yeah, I know, but he drove them out of the midfield. This is the thing I find fascinating about Geelong is that their best players are still their oldest players. The interesting thing for me was that Carlton put a very hard tag on Stewart.
Mm.
And I wonder if
game though it seemed to
once the game was in control, they sort of let it slide a bit. Yeah. It'd be interesting to see if Caddy plays a defensive role on him.
Caddy.
Guelphy. Sorry.
Guelphy. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense to me.
Yeah, sorry. I think I looked at it. Yep.
The thing that strikes me about Geelong is they have genuinely 6 blokes that look the exact same.
The headband group.
Down.
The surfy, long hair, blonde long hair with the headband.
Guthrie, Dempsey, De Koning, Stewart. They all, you could throw a blanket over all of them, you wouldn't know who's who. Yeah. Well.
All right, let's wrap this up.
Wrap it up. I did a tip. I said Geelong by 30. Geelong, Jesus Christ. Essendon by 37. It's all fallen off. All right. Well done, Ben Mackay. Well done, Essendon. This is as positive as I've felt about my team for a little while, which is nice.
Seriously, congratulations to Ben Mackay. I hope he's having a beer this afternoon.
It's pretty funny, isn't it?
To have won more games in the first season with the new club than 70 games with your other club.
14 games. Not even it's mental.
It's half a season. Well, a bit more than a half season. He's already beaten his... He must ring up his mates at North and go, so winning, it's a really nice feeling.
And that one game you won cost you Harley Reid.
I recommend you try it.
Anyway, all right. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate your company and go Dons.
Go Bombers.